The very idea of living and breathing in our games is becoming more and more reality every day. Gaming in general has become so influential in our lives that we are starting to experience the major transition from playing video games online on a computer to actually immersing ourselves as part of the game experience. This concept has already been achieved, but within recent years, virtual reality has made a strong comeback. While there were prior devices such as Nintendo's 1995 Virtual Boy and the Forte VFX1 by Vuzix, it wasn't until Palmer Luckey created the Oculus Rift in 2012 that really sparked a new interest in virtual reality. Meet virtual reality enthusiast Sean McDonnell, a 23-year-old Canadian and high school graduate from Courtenay, BC. Like many of us, he's your average stay-at-home person who lives an average everyday life. He is aiming towards supporting the virtual reality movement which is occurring at this time.
What originally got me interested in the concept of virtual reality is this certain Japanese animation which is known as Sword Art Online, and that brings about the VR concept in its plotline through a very highly advanced virtual reality head-mounted display or headset, which completely immerses the player. And from where we are now, I believe that we can achieve at least a portion of that immersion in order to be able to bring ourselves into brand new worlds from just the sitting at our desk, just like I'm doing right now. My experience with VR so far has been very insightful through the various demos that I've tried on my Oculus Rift. They have achieved a very strong sense of immersion. A good number of them have. And achieving that sense of immersion is very key to having a good, strong VR experience that you will remember, that your brain will remember after doing it, of course. And through these demos, the concept of virtual reality has been proven both by the strong sense of immersion that all these demos are giving us, and through the continued development of the hardware itself, as we've seen over the past 2 years, from the original prototype made with duct tape in Palmer's garage through to the most recent prototype called Crescent Bay. I believe that through these experiences, VR can be expanded and broadened for public acceptance, so everybody can enjoy VR, can visit different places that they normally could not in a normal situation through this entire concept of virtual reality. But this will only be adopted through most likely mobile VR solutions rather than the Rift, due to its high system requirements for PCs, which not everybody has.
Oculus VR is the leading company specialized in virtual reality, and after the company's 2014 buyout from Facebook, the company has a huge amount of financial and developmental support for further development.
So the future of VR is currently being spearheaded by the video game industry, because they have all the technology that is required in order to support this very highly demanding technology, and even now it's lagging behind very slightly. But in the far future, VR will revolutionize everything. It'll be as revolutionary as the TV was when it was first introduced. It'll be eventually in every single home. It'll be a naturally occurring presence that we see every day. It'll be adopted by medicine, by education, by architecture. Each of them have various uses they can use for it. It will expand quite broadly beyond what it is at this moment, which is very limited in scope. The progression of VR has continued on, with the Oculus VR having sent out 2 development kits so far. The original development kit, DK1, as it's known now, was sent out almost a year and a half ago as part of a Kickstarter campaign. And it is very limited in scope, as it has a 720p screen, which you can see every single pixel in it. The lenses are not perfect on it, but it was the beginnings of the VR revolution to come. This is set to be the forefather of everything and is to come soon. It does have its limitations. Resolution is a major thing of them. And then, just about 4 months ago, or maybe a bit more, they started shipping out their new Development Kit 2s, DK2s, and they have massively improved. They have a higher resolution of 1080p, which means you can almost not notice the entire pixels in the unit. And it also has positional tracking, which is achieved via a camera. So whereas DK1, you can only have rotational tracking, which means you're in one spot. Your head is on a little ball, essentially. You can't move forward, it won't see it. DK2 introduces the camera as positional tracking, so you can lean forward, it'll record it, lean to the side, it'll record it. And that has been a revolutionary development for VR. And then they released just recently their Crescent Bay prototype, which has introduced full 360-degree positional tracking, which DK2 only has 180. So you can look all the way back, lean forward to the back, you can do everything. And it also has a higher resolution, lower latency, higher refresh rate, so everything is a lot clearer. So we are definitely on the road to the first consumer version of the Rift, which even after launch it will not be widely adopted due to the even higher requirements than DK2 for use. So only those with extremely powerful computers will be able to use CV1 until Oculus figures out a way to lessen the load on the PC so that true consumers can actually utilize it without having to spend thousands of dollars on a PC.
With the new revolution of virtual reality upon us, its complete involvement in our lives is somewhat inevitable. If people become more involved in the nuance of the virtual reality revolution, like Sean, our lifestyles, Sean thinks, would change dramatically.
VR has much more use outside of just video games. It has the possibility to be used in not only that industry, but it can be utilized in education, medicine. It's already used widely in the military for training simulators. But one example of its use in education would be, say you're in a history class and you're learning about certain events, like say you're learning about D-Day, or you're learning about how soldiers were living in a trench in World War I, or something along those lines. VR could give us a visual, much more better view of how they saw this back in the time period. Not exactly, of course, but it can get it. VR tricks the brain into perceiving it as reality, right? And also medicine, VR can be utilized in order to give doctors practice sessions patience. Once we get the technology high enough, it's not nearly close right now, but once it gets high enough, then they will be able to practice on VR patients before procedures, or test out brand new procedures on things like that. And as I already explained before, the military already extensively uses it. It has for several decades. And VR has the potential to just infiltrate every other industry. Architecture as well, for housing, for selling houses, all of that. Before having a house built, you could build it in VR. The potential customers could explore it through a Rift or any other VR hardware before they want to commit to a purchase or commit to the build of any house or complex or anything, actually. VR has many uses that we still have yet to discover, aside from just video games. And I'm sure will come along many other uses beyond just the three I just mentioned. VR is the future.
It's interesting to discover the many possibilities that virtual reality could bring us aside from a unique gaming experience. And although we have yet to see this revolution come about, many enthusiasts like Sean believe it won't be too long until everybody can immerse themselves virtually. Just as the computer made its way into almost every home in the world.